The drama surrounding Rex Ryan's stunning reversal on Shadore Sanders has quickly become one of the most unexpected storylines in the NFL's off-field chaos. Just a week ago, Ryan was tearing into the young quarterback, accusing him of not putting in enough work, of not being ready for the moment, and of failing to justify his hype. His words weren't just critical, they were harsh, even personal. But now, the same man who once questioned Sanders' place in the league has done a complete 180. Suddenly calling for the Browns to put him on the field, that statement didn't just surprise fans, it stunned the NFL world. How could someone so vocal in their criticism so quickly become one of Sanders' biggest advocates? What changed between the time Rex was calling him overrated and now demanding that he play? Something deeper clearly shifted, both in the narrative and behind the scenes. Ryan's reversal wasn't just about football, it was about damage control, reputation, and the power of public backlash in today's NFL media landscape. Rex Ryan tried to clarify his new position by saying that his support for Sanders was purely about talent, insisting that the Browns should be using this season to evaluate their young quarterbacks. He emphasized that the goal wasn't just to get Sanders on the field. It was to see whether he could truly be the Browns' future leader. But for many, those words rang hollow. Only days earlier, Ryan had mocked the idea that Shedeur could compete with Dillon Gabriel, calling him unprepared and overhyped. Now suddenly, he was praising his potential and criticizing head coach Kevin Stefanski for not promoting him to backup over Joe Flacco. It was too sudden, too dramatic, and too suspicious to be coincidence. The truth is, Rex Ryan's change of heart didn't come from some newfound appreciation for Shadore's game. It came from the backlash. His earlier comments triggered a tidal wave of criticism from both fans and players across the league. The NFL community lit up social media, calling Ryan's comments unfair, outdated, and borderline personal. It wasn't just Shadore's supporters who were furious. It was former players, analysts, and even executives who saw his comments as part of a bigger problem: the old guard in sports media unfairly targeting young, confident athletes who don't fit their mold. Cam Newton, never one to bite his tongue, was one of the first to fire back. He blasted the media circus surrounding the Browns, directly calling out Ryan for trying to control the narrative. "When are we going to start realizing that you cannot control people?" Cam asked pointedly. Some of the same things that people ridicule Shadore Sanders for are the same things that make people like Jackson Dart. In other words, it's not about the behavior, it's about perception. When Shedeur shows confidence, it's labeled arrogance. When others do it, it's leadership. That double standard was exactly what Newton was calling out, and it resonated with fans who had grown tired of seeing young, black quarterbacks like Sanders painted as narcissistic simply for believing in themselves. Then came Michael Irvin, a Hall of Famer and one of the most respected voices in football, and he didn't hold back either. Irvin called Ryan out for hypocrisy, saying that people were attacking Shedeur simply because he had the audacity to believe he could be great. If Ryan had any doubt about Sanders' confidence, Irvin said he'd be the first to say he wasn't ready. But now that the kid's showing it, he's being punished for it. Irvin's message was clear: if Rex Ryan really wanted to see Shedeur play, he should start by believing in him instead of undermining him. That one statement alone flipped the conversation. Suddenly, it wasn't Shedeur on trial, it was Rex Ryan. But by that point, fallout had already reached higher levels than anyone expected. League owners began to take notice of Ryan's comments, and reports surfaced that his words had landed him on the radar of the NFL's top decision-makers. The criticism of a promising young quarterback wasn't just unprofessional, it was bad for business. In an era where image, diversity, and opportunity are core to the league's messaging, Ryan's remarks risked painting the NFL as hostile to its next generation of stars. Even Commissioner Roger Goodell reportedly took notice, considering whether Ryan's conduct warranted further scrutiny. That's how far the ripple spread. Behind the scenes, cooler heads prevailed. Mediation efforts within the league prevented any drastic fallout, but the damage to Ryan's reputation was already done. He had been warned, unofficially but clearly, that words carry weight in the NFL's, especially when aimed at rising players like Shadore Sanders, whose fan base extends far beyond the field. In a world where social media magnifies every misstep, One bad take can become career-defining. And Rex Ryan, a man once known for his unapologetic swagger, suddenly found himself on the defensive, scrambling to rebuild his image. That's when the turnaround began. Almost overnight, Ryan started speaking differently about Sanders, praising his athleticism, his composure, his natural ability. It wasn't just flattery. It was strategic repentance. Ryan needed to rebrand himself as supportive, not dismissive. And it worked at least on the surface. By publicly backing Shedeur, he reframed himself as an ally of young talent rather than a critic of it. But for those paying attention, the change was too clean, too well-timed. It looked less like personal growth and more like PR management. Still, this episode exposed something far bigger. Then Rex Ryan's ego. It revealed the immense power of public perception in the modern NFL. Every word from a major commentator has the potential to shape a player's image, influence locker rooms, and even affect front office decisions. The league is built as much on stories as it is on statistics. And one poorly chosen sentence can ignite a firestorm that no one sees coming. That's exactly what happened here. What began as a careless critique snowballed into a national debate about fairness, respect, and the treatment of young athletes in the media. By the time the dust settled, Rex Ryan's about-face wasn't just about Shadore Sanders, it was about self-preservation. He had learned the hard way that the NFL's power dynamics have changed. The fans are louder, the players are more connected, and the league's tolerance for outdated attitudes is running out. If you're going to criticize, you'd better have the facts. And Ryan didn't in the end. This entire saga serves as a reminder that the NFL isn't just a battlefield for players. It's one for reputations. The wrong comment, the wrong narrative can end careers off the field just as fast as an injury can on it. Shadore Sanders didn't need to respond to Rex Ryan's words. His silence spoke volumes. While the critics argued and backtracked, Shedeur just kept working, proving the one truth that always holds in football: talent eventually speaks louder than talk. So now the question stands: do you think Rex Ryan's change of heart was genuine? Or was it simply damage control after realizing he had crossed the line? And how big of a problem is it when commentators with massive platforms tear down young players before they've even had a fair shot to prove themselves? Drop your thoughts below. Let's hear your take. And if you believe Shadore Sanders is destined to silence his critics once and for all, hit that like button. Subscribe for more stories like this, and stay tuned. Because in the NFL, narratives don't just change, they flip overnight.